you on the East Coast, Super Tuesday, Spooky Tuesday edition. This is a great day for me. If any of you know me here in Kansas, in doing the show, I've been a huge, attempting at least to be a fisherman for a long time. One of the things that Dane and I said in the course of this show we wanted to get into is showcasing some amazing anglers. I started fishing kind of during the summer of 2020 when things were a little different then and everyone kind of slowed down. I developed a love for fishing. And since then, when we began making this show, whether it was sports or music, I said one day I'm going to get a chance to showcase some of my local heroes or regional heroes. And I got that opportunity today to bring on one of our favorite anglers, if you will, in the genre, Mr. Scott Towry. So I'm going to get right down to it and not waste any time. He's a busy man, got a lot of fish to catch. Mr. Scott Towry. Scott, how you doing, my friend?
Good. How are you doing, Josh?
I'm good, sir. Thanks for your time. It's an absolute honor. I love what you're doing. I watch you all the time, and I think you could catch a fish in your sleep, man. So much respect for you.
I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
It's,
Yes, sir. Scott, there's some questions, man, over the years. Again, I meant what I said. I started picking up for this love of fishing during the summer of 2020. I'd fished before that, but we all of a sudden had a lot more time on our hands. So I started seeing myself more outdoors. So I've got some questions for you, Scott. The audience has cultivated over the years. We want to run past you, okay?
that's fine. Good.
So Scott, I know obviously fishing is something, whether it's heritage, maybe dad took us out. There's almost like everyone has a different story of when they began fishing, right? For you, being a pro angler or representing the sport very well, take me back, man, maybe when you caught your first fish, if you can remember, or when you got the itch to do this. How old were you when you began fishing as we know it?
I guess the biggest time frame was not when I was real young, like a lot of people. It was as I got a little older into elementary school. Fishing became a little sport around the house of wading creeks and
Okay.
going to wherever you could go to, farm ponds or whatever. That's when it all started for me. And then I finally, when I was got around 16 years old, I started fishing tournaments with a local friend, and we had actually won our first tournament when I was 16. So it all started about when I was 16 years old as far as tournament fishing,
I got you.
and it's been great ever since.
Yes, sir. At a young age, man, I'll never forget, dude. I'm sure you could probably remember this in your mind. My first fish, it was not pretty. It was not great. I caught a 6 ounce bluegill. That was my first fish I ever caught. I never forget it, man. I took a picture of it. Do you remember
Yeah.
your first, like maybe your first major catch? Like that was your baby, your first catch that you're proud of?
Uh, One that was probably when I was around 13 or 14 years old. I bought a Strat King buzz bait that was solid chartreuse, and I went to a creek and was throwing it, and I didn't catch nothing all day. And I finally threw it over by a tree and caught a 3 pound largemouth. And I guess that was probably the day I got hooked on buzzbait fishing for sure.
No pun intended. They got hooked, man. I love
Yeah, I
that,
mean,
man. That's awesome.
it was awesome.
That's awesome, man. And there's something about it. Again, I think I say after learning now, the passion, not at your level, but from fishing recreational, going every weekend. I fish in Kansas from February to November, right? Now you doing it tournament style. There's a unmistakable like love for it, right? Even many tournaments, 16 to where you are now. I can't imagine the amount of tournaments you've been a part of. Has there been maybe one or two though, like of all the things you've done that's kind of stood out to you as being maybe your favorite tournament so far? If there's even one you could speak
Well,
to?
really, there's a couple of them that's really been that I think that was a really important. I mean, great opportunity and stuff like that for me was one of them was at Chickamauga Lake a couple of years ago during the Toyota Series.
Okay.
I had caught hung a bass or a fish I thought was a catfish, and it got all the way to the boat and come by the boat, and I didn't realize what it was until it got to the boat. And when it took off, I was hollering, "It's a bass!" I mean, it was huge. It was 11 pounds and 2 ounces,
Oof, man.
and it was sort of a surprise because of where we was at. It was just, but that was one of the memorable moments. And then we had a BFL Super Tournament on Gunnersville Lake, and which is a real competitive bunch of guys.
Yes, sir.
And I finished second place down there. And catching those fish the way I was catching them, everybody was thinking I was flipping and doing stuff like that. And I actually caught them on a worm, which
Okay.
was unusual at that time of year. But them two right there was probably the most memorable tournaments I've ever had. Besides a
11
few,
pound bass, man. That's
yeah,
fantastic, man. That's crazy. That's one you take home and you kind of mount on the wall, you know, if you caught
yeah,
that baby.
yeah. I
That's
still
awesome,
haven't got
man.
my replica back yet.
That's fantastic, man. You know, but that's what this sport, I'm telling you, man, the love of fishing. And again, everybody's kind of got a different path. Like you said, worms. That's all I to this day, and I've got 6 or 7 tackle boxes in my setup, my rig. I've got 8 or 9 poles. To this day, man, everyone's got that like that safety catch, what they call it. I prefer worms to this day. So to hear you say that, it's like I'm in Kansas and bank fishing and all that, it worked, you know. So
Yeah.
you know. Man, do you prefer like I know it's kind of maybe a little bit down in the weeds a little bit, so to speak, but do you prefer a certain type of lure? Like if your go-to your confidence lure, what's that for you, you know?
Uh, Probably my confidence lure is either a jig
Okay.
or uh, depending on what time of year, because I mean it always changes from season to season what it is. But one of my favorite baits is a Ignite swim bait. I mean
Okay.
it's you can catch fish basically year round on it, and
Hmm.
it. I mean you got from the little 4 inch ones all the way up to 7, 8 inch swim bait that which I live on the Tennessee River, close to the Tennessee River, so it's a pretty good place to throw a swim bait, anyways.
I love that. I gotta say I'm envious of you, my friend, because I'm in Kansas and it's a cool 28 degrees right now, so I envy you a little bit. So on
Yeah,
that,
it was a
man, it's
little
cool.
cool this morning. It was in the 30s here, so
I love it, man. Still good fishing weather. There's never a bad day to fish. Man, I'm curious, man. I think about those influences on my life, man. When I became a fisherman, shout out to my brother-in-law, my buddy Tristan. You know those people that have kind of like taught you, showed you the ropes, if you will.
yeah.
Maybe a couple of anglers or people in your family tree or whatnot. Has there been 1 or 2 people that have kind of influenced you on your style of fishing in your life? You know?
Well, there's actually been like 3 people that really, or 4 people actually, that really influenced me through the years. Is one of them was Denny Breyer, uh, Hank Parker, and also my dad.
Yes, sir.
But he wasn't a bass fisherman. He was just a bluegill cat fisherman. But his love for it was still there, no matter what. I mean, he would always smile, even if he caught a small bluegill or a big catfish. I mean, it was just an inspiration. And it's always a pleasure to catch fish, no matter what age you're at, whether
Right.
you're young or old. It's always been a pleasure to catch fish.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
mean, for everybody,
Hmm.
kids, girls, boys, it don't matter. I mean, it's a great sport to be in.
Yes, sir. I say too, man, when you said that, because shout out to your pops and the people that have helped you. It's a sport that everyone can participate in, right? It's
Yes.
universal. It doesn't matter what your age is. Maybe, maybe you don't have that. There's certain sports that require certain athletic abilities and all that.
Yeah.
Fishing is patience and a nice setup. And I've caught some of my best fish on a $10 Zebco Walmart special. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter what
I
it
know
is, man.
exactly what you mean on that. I
Yes, sir,
caught a
man.
bunch of fish on a Zipco 33.
And there's something literally, man, once you get hooked, I go back to my first fish I ever caught. I didn't catch on early on in life. It's just in our family household, my dad wasn't a fisherman, but my wife's brother said, "Hey, why don't you come with me one day?" It was a Father's Day thing. Let's go fish, right? And I caught my first bluegill. I said, "This is amazing," because the fight I thought I caught the Loch Ness monster, man. Because my first
Yeah.
fish ever, you're pulling this bad boy out of the water, and it's leaping and jumping, and just the love, like you said, for fishing is undeniable, So
Yeah. I
I love
mean,
that.
even if, I mean, we've worked with Southern Fishing here a few
Hmm.
years ago. We done the Wounded Warriors fishing tournaments. We take people out for 2 days fishing, and you wouldn't believe it, the inspiration just catching a fish does for these people that are
Yes,
out
sir.
there, that,
Yes, sir.
that's had difficulties in life.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
it's a great thing.
It's a great release that anybody can be a part of, and I think you're
Yes.
spot on, man. So yes, sir. Influence is everybody can participate, and it's year round. That's like you said, whether it's February, November, for the most part, someone can catch a fish, and it's just it brightens your day, man. So
Yes, it
it's
does.
yes, sir, man. Obviously, when you look at the tournaments you've done many successful tournaments, by the way. Congratulations on. I see the wall of trophies behind you.
Yeah.
Many accomplishments. Love it. Is there maybe in the next 6 months or a year some tournaments you're going to be taking part of, or what's next on your year for you, if you will?
I'm looking into fishing some more of the MLF stuff that I've been fishing the last few years, and also the looking at Bassmasters is fishing some of the
Okay.
Open in the next following year. Uh, and some of the local tournaments is always because participation. I like to participate locally in it too because it gives everybody a chance to, hey, I'm fishing against a pro. I beat him. I mean, it's a
Yes,
bragging
sir.
rights thing. It's an inspiration to me just to even see somebody else beat me. I mean, one way or the other, it's a good thing. I mean, I don't like getting beat, but I mean, it does happen.
Yes, sir. Yes, I get you. I get you.
But I mean, I look forward to promoting stuff with people in the boat, like Ranger boats and hammer rods and ignite baits and Johnson jigs and stuff like that
Hmm.
that I've been using the last few years to, that help me catch more fish, which will in turn help the other people catch more fish. And I
Yes, sir.
totally enjoy watching somebody else catch fish. Even the co-anglers, I've had a couple of co-anglers win the co-angler side in the back of my boat, and I didn't really do that good. And then I was like, well, but it's still an inspiration for them to become better fishermen and inspire them for future
Yes,
events
sir.
that they're in. I mean, I enjoy it whether I win, lose, or whatever. It's still an inspiration to me to see kids.
Mm.
I've been working with some Mount Pleasant fishing team and the Summertown fishing team here locally, trying to inspire and teach them that it's really an expensive sport to get into if you get into the tournament scene. Now, just grabbing a bucket of worms and cane pole or something like that, it's not that bad. But you start getting into the tournament. I mean, I'm trying to tell these people that you know you've got to make a living. You've got to work. You've got to get an education. You can't be dropping out of school to go fishing. I mean,
Right, right,
unless
right.
you're just a lucky one. but you've got to. I mean, you've got to have some kind of career to fall back on because there's basically millions of people trying to get into the sport of bass fishing,
Hmm.
and
Yes, sir.
and it's a hard road to get there. I mean, it's just something that actually I wasn't really looking into it, doing it at the time. It just all fell into place because I guess the love of the sport, the love of helping people, and you know, supporting my local, marina, Lawrenceburg Marine, and then the sign design and stuff like that. That's helped me over the time to become a better fisherman and enjoy it. And that's what I want to do with these kids that are coming up, high school,
Yes,
uh,
sir.
college, or whatever. I mean, it's an inspiration. I enjoy helping these kids
Yes, sir. I think
because
you're
I mean,
spot on, man. Yeah, you're spot on too, because there's something about this sport. Again, we do a lot of sports, like I told you, basketball, football, and
yeah,
all that. Fishing is a very unique thing because it's a personal thing, right? You catch that fish, it's your accomplishment, and whether there's no bad day on the lake. I don't care if I catch fish or not. If I'm out on the lake, there's no bad day, right? You know what I mean?
right,
So yeah, I like what you're saying about giving back and. Dan and I preach this a lot about the next generation, right? Osmosis, right? You teaching others. And there is, man, I kid you not. When I first went out there, I was like, oh, how hard can it be? It's a pole, a worm, learning techniques, where the brush is at, where the tree patterns, shadow, time of day. It's an actual thing, man. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. It's a lot of learning experience and a lot of stuff that you have to process over the day's time, the weekly time. And I mean, it's just with all this new technology with Lowrance and Active Target and,
hmm.
you know, more dependable motors and stuff from Mercury. I mean, it's a great thing that's going on for the upcoming future of the sport.
Yes, sir. It's in
I
good
love it.
hands, man. Yes, sir. Like I said, I can see the joy on your face and the passion, man. That's why we were drawn to you because, again, like you said, win or lose, technically, even if you don't have a day where you catch it, someone else does. And that's what I love about this sport, man. Again, I love all sports. I really am I'm a fan of sports, but with fishing, even if I'll be walking, I'll be carrying my poles back, I'll hit a local pond. Hey, did you catch anything? Good luck next time. There's always a love for each other, right? Like, hey,
Yes,
better luck next time. You know what I
absolutely.
mean? So I love it. So
I
yeah,
mean,
man.
I've got to travel the last couple of years with Jimmy Warsham, which is the
Yes, sir.
MLF Pro Circuit uh, title champion winner and a legend in the sport, Charlie Ingram. The last year that I fished with him. I mean, we partnered and traveled together. I mean, it's there's a lot of love for God in the future. I mean, in fishing that I have
Sure.
noticed over the last few years that sometimes you don't see locally because you don't get to spend that much time with them as far as,
Right.
staying in a motel, staying in an Airbnb or something like that. But the love of God is there.
Yes, sir.
And you
Absolutely.
have to have faith in yourself too, I mean,
Yeah.
because it's a hard sport. I mean,
Yes,
it's
sir.
it's tough. You got the weather. I mean, it's a great thing, but it's a tough thing.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, like I said, I've been waiting to interview for a long time. As I've done all sports, I played football, basketball, and all that. There's nothing like every time you feel that bite. There's nothing like it. It is just
Oh, it's
forever hooked, man. You can't get away from it. So love it,
yep.
man. Man, I'll tell you what, Scott, there's a little segment too we do, man. Every episode, we have a little bit of a benchmark segment called Rapid Fire. So for a
Okay.
second, I'm having a great time. I'm gonna make you laugh a lot, I promise you. There's a segment that we do, and what this is, our fans are awesome. We've got fans from Aruba to Finland to Japan to the United States. They give us questions to ask you. They
Oh,
give us
cool.
5 silly rapid questions. It's really cool. So what we usually do, now Dane has already told me what he thinks you're gonna say. These 5 questions, there's no wrong answer. It's just we're gonna bet lunch. Me and him bet lunch
Oh,
on what we
cool.
think you're gonna say. It's really cool. Okay, so
Yep.
we're gonna have a good time, man. So I'm gonna get going. So first question: these 5 rapid fire. Again, no wrong answer. Just go with your heart and your gut. Anything's possible. For a moment, reality does not exist. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Okay, so first question: you're on a tournament, and they say, "Hey, Scott, we need you to go out there," and all of a sudden, we find out for some reason there's no more fishing line in the planet. The fishing line is gone; it's evaporated. So you got to impromptu find a way to catch a fish using one of these 2 materials. Your first option is you can go with dental floss, find a way to make it work, or you can try to catch a fish using licorice. Dental floss or licorice? Which one are you going with?
Dental floss.
Let's go. I had you, baby. Let's go. Yeah, you can kind of maybe catch a little perch with that or something. You know what I'm saying? So I got you, man. I love it. So next question, man. I had you for that. Dane had licorice, so I'm one up on Dane, just so you know. Thank you, Dane. I'm gonna get lunch. So next question, man. you bring back, you have a good haul, catch about 30 crappie, doing a fish fry. Okay. Coming back from doing your haul, and they say, hey, we're gonna do a little celebrity fish fry. And what we're going to do is Food Network shows up, the Food Network TV show. We're going to give you a guest host to help you just kind of commentate, hang out, and do this Food Network fish fry. You can choose one of these 2 guest hosts to hang out and just spend the day with you. You can go with either A, Bobby Flay, love the guy, or old school B, Emeril Lagasse. Bam! You can have Bobby Flay or Emeril as your guest fish fryer. Who you going with?
Oh, it's Bobby.
Let's go. Let's go. I'm killing it, man. 2 for 2. I love it. I love it. So third question, man. We're going to go back in time, okay? And you got to go back to the 70s. And you're the fisherman that you're known for these days and all of that. You're doing your thing. This is, hey, we'd like you to spend the day, Scott, taking out one of these 2 legendary artists and spend the day fishing with them. We want you to take them out, show them a good time, help them catch a bass. Your 2 choices, you can go with Elvis or Steve Miller to take out and fish for the day. Who you going with?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, yes, sir.
I'd hate to say Elvis because
So going with Elvis. So got you, Elvis. I got you, man. So 2 more. So you called up and says, hey, Major League Fishing 2024, we're adding some new sponsors. They said, Scott, tell you what, we're going to give you a chance to give it's a crazy amount, $10 million contract. These 2 companies want to sponsor you for Major League Fishing as long as you're willing to get their tattoo, their company logo tattooed on your cheekbone. $10 million, okay? So here's the thing. These 2 companies you can go with is either A, you can go with Cheetos, Hot Cheetos, get the little logo of the Hot Cheeto on your cheek, or B, old school bubble yum on your cheek. Hot Cheetos, bubble yum, 10 million. What you going with?
well, I'd have to actually go with Cheetos because I work for Frito-Lay too.
Okay, let's go, man. I love it. Shout out to Frito-Lay. Love it. So very cool, very cool. I am crushing it, man. 4 for 4. So final question. As I've learned in my years of fishing and learning just love for all sports, I've noticed a kind of a parallel that fishing and kind of racing, NASCAR, adrenaline rushes kind of go hand in hand. So they say, hey, Scott, we're going to give you a chance to do a boat race on fishing day, on tournament day. We're going to do a boat race, and you can have a celebrity NASCAR boat race driver be your racer for the day. Okay. against your teammates. You can choose to have either Kevin Harvick or Dale Jr. be your boat race captain for the day. Who you going with?
Let's see here. uh, Dale Harvey.
Let's go. I had you, man. I'm 4 for 5. Let's go. I crushed it, man. I love it. So, but man, so that's just a little segment that we do, Scott, called open mic or rapid fire. Hopefully, and like media that you've had, that's a little something different for you. Okay. So
Oh yeah,
love it.
it's
Love
pretty
it.
cool.
So I love it. So final segment, Scott, because I know you're like I said, you're a busy guy. The final segment is something that we call open mic. And what this is, whether it's musicians, fishermen, athletes, doctors, there's always a theme to our show. We want to take and say, hey, you went out and chased your dreams. You're doing it. You're living your dream, even in any capacity. If you were to go back and tell maybe your beginning self or someone that wants to be you one day some wisdom, what's a piece of advice you'd give to someone that wants to be you one day?
Well, one of the biggest things is determination,
Mm.
commitment, um, staying positive even on difficulties, no matter if it's something going on at the moment or something long term. Being positive, and trying not to let it bother you during the process of whatever you're doing at the time, whether it's anything just in general life, health, uh, sponsorships, or
Mm.
something like that. You got to be positive about it because there's always opportunities that are out there.
Yes, sir.
You've got to take the good and the bad because there's always going to be good
Yes, sir.
coming. No matter, I mean, it's just like if one door shuts, another one opens,
Yes, sir.
and
Yes,
and
sir.
it will keep, and it'll do that for anybody. So you always got to keep a positive attitude, determination, commitment, and always be an inspiration to kids.
Mm. Yes, sir.
I mean, that's one of my things. I mean, I love watching kids improve, do better, enjoy what they're doing, sports, whether they're motorcycle racing, fishing, or just in general, baseball, volleyball, soccer, whatever, football. I mean, everybody don't like the same thing, but everybody does love and enjoy fishing
Yes, sir.
that I've run into. I mean, even some of the famous football players enjoy fishing and getting in the outdoors and stuff like that. So that's probably one of the biggest things is staying positive
Yes, sir.
and, and
Yes, sir.
because
I think it.
there's a
Go
lot
ahead.
of negativity out, you know how it is, but positivity, positive thinking, no matter if you're having a bad day or whatever, just keep thinking positive about what's going on and it'll all come out in the end.
I love that, Scott. You're spot on, my friend. And I'm telling you, this is something over the past few years. Like I said, our world's, there's days where it's good and bad days in the world. And fishing has been something that I feel like everybody can relate to, and it's a personal thing. And it's all. There's nothing bad. Again, even if you don't catch something, it's a day at the lake, a day on the pond, right? So it's a day
Absolutely.
of just enjoying what's going on, enjoying nature, enjoying what's happening. And then on top of that, like what you're doing is it's a tangible way of life. You can literally take your passion, your hobby, and turn it into something beyond just a hobby. So it's cool if you don't. For those of you out there that are just weekend warriors, anglers like myself, I'm a weekend angler, or someone that takes it as a living. Just enjoy each day. Enjoy each day, right? I love that. So,
Absolutely. And it's a family thing too. I mean,
sure.
especially when COVID hit, I mean, everybody sort of with their family got to go fishing and stuff. And that's what
Yes, sir.
inspired a lot of this boom in fishing here the last few years, which is a good thing. I love it.
I think that's as that such a tragedy that hit the world. What good came out of that was, hey, more time with the family, more time. This because really, if you think about it, fishing it's kind of a means to connect the family, like you said, right?
Absolutely.
It could have been maybe badminton. Thankfully, it was fishing, right? But
Yes.
connecting the family, and then hey, getting. I remember my first catch with my daughter. You remember those memories too, of like your first catch, right? Like you spoke about. There's something that's just unmistakable, undeniable about it, and it just brings people together. So man, I love it. So
Absolutely.
um, Well, Scott, I'm telling you this, man, it's an absolute honor. Again, tracking you down, legend. I've been watching for a long time. This has been something been near and dear to my heart forever. I appreciate you making the time. Please let it be known this is an open invitation, the first of many. Let's make sure this isn't the last time we stop by. Let's do it again.
Sounds good.
And let's make sure we stay in touch, and I'll get this out to the world as soon as we can. Okay. So
All right, man. I appreciate you.
thank you, my friend. You're welcome to drop
Thank.
off, and I appreciate your time. Okay.
All
Yes,
right,
sir.
thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, guys,
Thank
that's Scott Towry, legendary pro angler. Love what he's doing for the sport. And if you guys noticed, a couple times he said that a love for helping others. I can't say enough about that, how much he wants to give back to the sport. The next generation is in good hands. So thank you, Scott, on behalf of your team, on behalf of all the fishermen out there worldwide, men and women. Fishing is something that's very personal and it means a lot to all of us. That's something that I've really, really invested myself in these past 3 or 4 years, and I can't say enough about it. So you can't go wrong taking a day taking the boat or bank fishing and just spending some time with your thoughts, maybe some music, just you and nature. There's never a bad time to fish. So wow, Scott Towry, guys, that's again. I always tell Dane, bucket list just keeps growing. Add another name to the bucket list. So that was amazing for me. Thank you, Scott. That's an honor for me. I love to fish, Dane. Sorry I missed that one. So please let it be known, Scott, that open invitation, come back anytime. With that being said, that'll kind of end us for the day. Happy spooky season. Happy Halloween to all of you out there. We'll resume a couple tomorrow night. Should be a good day of Wednesday interviews. I'll save some of that for the track. Don't forget, as always, that we love you. And as Dane would say, thank you for listening.